Buenos dias. Assalamu alaikum. Ciao. Hola. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you today? You know, it was really nice yesterday when I was broadcasting. A couple of people said good morning. So if you are there, tell me you're there. It's nice not to be just speaking to a camera and there's actual live people at the other end. So how are you today? If you just joined us for the first time, I'm Ken. It's 10. This is Ken at 10. Thank you for joining me. It's a little bit like the news at 10, except much more exciting. Hope you're having a good day today. We're estate agents based in southwest London, Norbury to be precise, James Alexander Estate Agents, and we broadcast about all things property and things generally. So how are you getting on? The new rule of 6 is here. Weird, isn't it? But we expected some sort of lockdown. And if you're a regular watcher, you'll know that Georgia Ladbury Galavanta did predict this, that we were likely to get a second wave of some description. It wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when and how severe the impact might be. And yeah, so there we are. We're in amongst it. As far as the weather's concerned today in southwest London, it is an absolute corker. It's sunny, the sky is blue, we've got photographs going on, lots of viewings happening, and a diary full up with appointments. Today I've got a business meeting, we've then got valuations and inspection and a good few things. Good morning to the jungle. Better than the news at 10. Yeah, we are better than the news at 10, I agree. Coming on from yesterday, seems there are a lot more people than I expected have got in touch about the EWS1 scandal, which doesn't entirely surprise me. You know, lots of people caught up where they were expecting to sell their flats and find that they don't have this bit of paper, which is causing difficulty in selling. Very frustrating. Really delighted to hear from my client yesterday that he's got his and therefore he can carry on selling his flat. But it really is a national scandal. But the thing I mentioned yesterday that really does bug me, and something that I think the government need to address, is the idea that first-time buyers can no longer buy a property with a 10% deposit because the lenders have restricted it, because they're going for easier pickings. They're going for the low-hanging fruit. You know, the middle-aged owners who have equity, or the oldies like us that have enough assets around them that they don't have to take a risk when granting a mortgage. And the problem with that is that if you want the market to be successful, what you need is the flow. You need it to come. If the first time buyer doesn't buy the little house or the little flat, then the person owning the little house or the little flat can't move to the bigger house or the bigger flat. So, you know, it does have a knock-on effect, and it all starts with the first time buyer. And I think that we're not supporting them enough. I really do feel for you if you're a first-time buyer out there trying to struggle to get a deposit together, especially now for all the time you've struggled. And now you've got 10%, which, let's face it, in London is like 40, 50K in some cases, you know, and having struggled and strived to get that, you then find that the lenders are saying, actually, we're not interested in you anymore. Well, why not? You were interested last week and now all of a sudden you're not interested. Too big a risk, they say. Well, I say, you know, you've got to at some point help the market. You know, we've all done the eat out to help out. We've all done various things to muck in and help out. And I think the government need to step in and say, hey, you lenders, you need to help first time buyers to fulfill their dreams, because that's the future. And, you know, if we don't think about young people, then, you know, we are in trouble. And I just think young people deserve not only the respect of owning their own home when they can possibly do it, but also the support of government. So that's my rant over for the day. Apart from that, generally looking forward to a good one. We've got lots of offers coming in on one particular property which has come up. We always tend to find that there's one particular property which is like hit the sweet spot this week and tends to go nuts, you know, and then all the offers come in and it's always good. It's always fun to see that one go. Never good when you see someone upset though. And, you know, this week we did have another one where somebody had been gazumped, and that's always heartbreaking. And I always say gazumping is one of those things, isn't it? Because on the one hand, you know, you could say, oh, that's terrible gazumping. But what people need to understand is that agents don't, a lot of agents, well, certainly us, don't actually promote gazumping, but it is our responsibility to get the best possible price for the owner of the property. And it's also our obligation under law to make sure that if any offers come in post the sale being agreed, they have to be forwarded to the client. So in other words, if you agree a sale on a property at 500,000 and somebody comes along and bids 525,000, the agent has a legal duty to disclose to the owners that they have that offer. It doesn't mean that the owner's necessarily going to jump ship. They won't always. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. It's one of those like, well, you know, how much money, you know, there's morals on the one hand, of course, and many sellers in many occasions have refused what I consider massive sums of money to stick with their principles and say, look, we've agreed a deal with this person, we're going to stick with it. And that's lovely. But there's always a point also when quite often those same vendors will say, well, hang on a minute. Yes, I've got my morals and I want to support my buyer, but how much? 5,000, 10,000, 15, 20, 25. Sometimes it could be as much as that. And then, of course, they say, well, hang on, actually 20,000 is a lot of money for me and my family. I'm not sure I can afford to lose that. And that's when it starts to get a bit difficult and people can decide to jump ship. What I'd rather have, of course, is a system where it was locked down earlier. Unfortunately, that's not the way it is in the UK. Everything is subject to contract. That means subject to anything any side requires right up until exchange of contracts, which really puts the pressure on getting to that point of exchange of contracts. And in this market, that's difficult because agents are busy, solicitors are busy, the whole conveyancing process is busy, and that's before we talk about mortgage lenders. Even if they'll grant you a loan, there are queues, and that's frustrating. So, it can be a tricky time. It's always fraught. It can be exciting and it can be fun. You've got to try and enjoy it amongst all the pressure. But, I was reading something in the paper this weekend saying that if you're looking to move by next March, you really need to do it by the end of September. And I get where they're going with that. If you think about it, by the end of September, you then got the average sale is 8 to 12 weeks. But then if you write off Christmas, if you start marketing in October, get an offer by the end of October, let's say, November, December, January. Already you're close. And then that's assuming that December's a normal December, and it won't be. You'll lose at least 2 weeks over the holidays for December and January, if not longer. And then you're into the new year. And guess what? Everybody will be fighting to get to that deadline. And so you need to be sure that you're in front of the game. So if you are thinking of moving and you want to beat that deadline, it may sound like a long way away, but it's really not. You need to start thinking about getting a wriggle on right now. So that's it for Ken at 10 today. Hope you have a fantastic day. Look after your friends, families, and stay in those groups of 6. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.